Welcome to the Private Practice Startup, where we inspire you from startup to mastery. We chat with entrepreneurs, experts in the mental health and business arenas, and successful private practitioners to give you the tools needed to make your dream practice a reality. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, and so much more. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hello, Startup Nation. We are back with another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. And today we're going to do something totally different that we've actually never done. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes, and a lot of fun, and just, I don't know, we like to keep you guys on your toes. So Katie and I are here today. Actually, I'm Dr. Kate Campbell. We've got Katie Lemieux.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so we're obviously co-host, and whether you guys are here for the first time or you're coming back, we're really grateful that you're here and appreciate your listenership. And we're always trying to think of new ways to really meet your needs and give you new information, valuable tips, #ninja tips, all that good stuff related to private practice building and growing and thriving and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And I think, this podcast is special, and actually it's going to be a part 1 and part 2. And it's Kate and I, we're the show today.
Yes.
So a lot of people ask us a lot of questions. And so you're going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth today. Well, the double horse's mouth, I guess.
That's right. Yes, so absolutely.
We're going to be sharing a little bit about our stories, how we got to where we are, and some essentials that we think that you guys really need in order to really build a great, strong private practice. So
the topic of our show today, this is obviously part 1, and it's going to be private practice ninja tips, tricks, and hacks.
But before we do that, I know Kate had expressed our appreciation for our listeners. And so if you're a first-time listener, guess what? We have a resource gift for you. You can head over to theprivatepracticestartup.com, head over to the resources tab, and download a free copy of our A to Z cheat sheet, Essentials for Building a Private Practice. There's a ton more resources there as well. So you can take hold of whatever is really enticing you. And if you're a second-time listener, 5th, 500th, awesome. Thank you so much for being part of Startup Nation. And we really hope that you guys are already a part of our Facebook group. And if you're not, what the heck are you waiting for? Go on to Facebook and look for the Private Practice Startup Facebook group. Ask to be part of the group, and we'll approve you, and you can join our community and interact with us directly. So that's a really cool thing. So, we thought we would keep to the structure of what we do at the Private Practice Startup Podcast and actually ask ourselves or ask each other some of the questions we ask our guests. So you can kind of get a little delving into our minds and our stories, which even though we share here and there, we haven't really done it in this format yet.
Yeah, we'll try not to bore you guys with lots of stories. I mean, the stories are interesting, of course, but we've got lots of juicy content for you today with all the ninja tips, tricks, and hacks. So we'll go ahead and just dive in, because you guys know a little bit about us. Hopefully, if not, you'll hear more about us on the podcast. Obviously, Katie and I both created our own separate private practices, our 6-figure private practices from the ground up. So we have a lot of experience being in the trenches and know what that's like. So we want to share a little bit about that. So Katie, what led you into the business that you're in now?
Great question, Kate. Well, that's funny. Are we talking about the private practice startup, or are we talking about private practice?
Answer it however you'd like.
Well, actually, I think you led me into this business.
Oh, it's all my fault.
Back in 2014. So Kate and I have quite a bit of a history. We've known each other for over a decade. And back in 2014, we launched the first division of our company, which was K2 Visionaries. But before that, Kate and I had served from 2012 to 2014 as president and vice president of the Broward Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. And we had realized that we worked so well together. We had both had really great leadership skills. We got the job done. And, Kate had really liked my training style. And she said, I want to do a training with you. I said, great, let's do it. So we created the Supervision course, which is a 12-hour course here in Florida together. And we've been doing that course ever since. We just did another one this weekend, which we had the most attendees ever. And that was awesome.
We doubled our attendance, which was really cool. Yeah, it was a great training.
And had a lot of fun too, as we usually do. And so that's what led me into the business that we are in now. And we've been business partners since July 2014, and it's been an awesome ride, and I really couldn't have asked for a better business partner. I hope someday we could do a podcast on, business partnership.
Yeah, we
That would
should.
be fun.
We should add that to the list. We have about 60 plus ideas running in the list. So we could do podcasts 3 times a week and still never run out of ideas.
So, Kate, what's the best advice you've ever received that relates to building a business and becoming an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. There's I mean, so many words of wisdom that I've received over the years.
And still receive, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're learning and growing
constant.
all the time. We really, really are. I mean, that's the one thing that Katie and I share. Well, we share many things in common, but
Like a brain.
yeah, like a brain. We share a brain in common. This is very true. We often finish each other's sentences, which is really funny. I'm sure you guys have heard us do that on the podcast here.
Or it's like psychic. We just speak for each other.
I wonder if it's a little creepy at times. Get out of my brain. Anyways, I would say that part of it is really failing fast and failing forward, making sure that, you know, in entrepreneurship, it's a journey. There's a lot of highs and lows. There's a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns. You never really know what's going to happen, and making sure that you're using your failures as stepping stones and as learning opportunities for you to see what's working, what's not working, learn and grow and evolve to make sure that you're overcoming some of the challenges. And the other thing would be really, I got to get the cowbell for this one. It's just really being authentic and stepping into your authentic self and being more open with sharing who you are personally and professionally as part of your marketing message, your story, and, you know, kind of branding that a little bit, making sure that people connect with you in more of a personal way. I would say that that's been a big area of growth for me in the past couple of years, just getting much more comfortable with that. So that's been a really good piece of advice that someone had shared with me as well. What's something that you've had to overcome to be part of this journey?
Well, it's not just what I've had to overcome, but consistently have to overcome is that we have to constantly overcome ourselves, right? And the mind chatter that we have that tells us we can't do this, or it's too hard, or I want to quit. That's a constant battle. And I'll just be really authentic. Kate, cowbell.
Yep.
About that is that, you know, business isn't easy. It's been tough and learning a whole lot of new things. It's not as smooth sailing, but it's a constant journey, and one that is a journey of the self as well. So constantly overcoming the self in many ways. So we're going to share with you guys 3 things on this podcast. We're going to be talking about branding. We'll also be talking about goal planning, and lifestyle business. So let's start out with branding. If you guys have listened to Kate and I, we're a little bonkers about talking about branding. Why? Because it's super essential and it really makes everything flow.
It really does. And, you know, in private practice, we are our brand. So you want to think about that. It goes so much more than just like, here's what my logo is going to look like and my colors and my business name. It's branding is all encompassing, and it's really an experience. You want to think about how your clients, future clients, referral sources, how they're experiencing you and your business. There's actually a couple of definitions that Katie and I use when we talk about branding, and I thought it'd be helpful to just kind of read those as a way to understand this. So branding is the representation of your organization as a personality. Branding is who you are that differentiates you from the rest. And that's from Dave Kerpen. And when we actually worked with Claudia Zerbisky, who did a podcast with us and a webinar. She's a brand strategist and expert. She's just phenomenal.
I think her podcast is number 9 if you guys want to check that out, but definitely look for it.
Yeah, it is. Claudia's podcast is number 9. Yep. So she had actually talked about thinking about if your brand walked into a cocktail party,
what would people say?
What would people say? What would people notice about your brand? So you really want to think about your brand as a personality. And then also another quote that we really like by another colleague and friend of ours, Michelle Villalobos, who is also a branding expert. It's not about who you know, but who knows you and what they say about you when you're not around. And she's podcast guest expert number 13. So that's a really good one for you guys to go back and listen to.
And so when Kate and I start with a coaching client, one who maybe is new to private practice or wants to be in private practice, or even a clinician that's maybe been in private practice that's kind of stuck and really gets the idea of wanting to revitalize what they're doing, we start out with branding. Why? Because when you're clear on your brand, your messages and marketing are simple. Now, I will say branding and really creating your vision, mission, and culture, it's a long process. It's an experience. It's a thought out process. It's a very intuitive based process. I actually went through a branding process with 2 experts, which was a phenomenal process. And I think that's why it made me love branding. But guys, I'll tell you, when I first started out, my first professional photo, I must have either looked like a lawyer or real estate agent.
It was pretty bad, I have to to say.
It was bad. In that
you
time,
look much
I was
better as a blonde.
Thank you. I was actually dyeing my hair for a period of 6 months, and I was dyeing it like it wasn't meant to be red, but my hair doesn't hold color. So it turned red, and I had to get these photos done. And like, if you guys can imagine, so here I am with a white collared shirt and a black jacket. So it totally looked like arms crossed.
Like typical lawyer stance, right?
Yeah, typical lawyer stance or real estate agent. And so, from there, I created my name. Kate and I have done many things backwards. So, that's why we talk about this and we're so passionate about it. And I remember working full time, and I remember there was this meeting I had to attend once a week, and it was like a 2-hour meeting, kind of boring. So I sat there and I created my first flyer, and my first business card was off Vistaprint. Nothing wrong with Vistaprint, but I chose a stock image that after I went to many networking events, like so many other therapists had. So it wasn't original. And like the background was kind of this like sunsetty orange. And so I made my first flyer in Microsoft Publisher on my own, like with the orangey colors, which that is not a color that I like. Totally not my personality, totally not me. But obviously it served a purpose for a time and it got me started. And so I'm sure many of you have done that or are doing that, and that's totally okay. But we want to invite you to think about these things about branding. So, some of the questions that we ask ourselves or even our coaches is, what is your why? Simon Sinek talks about, why do you get up in the morning and why does anyone care? We'd like to ask you, what is your 100-year goal? What is the legacy you want to leave behind? I know these are big questions, but if you really want to know what your purpose is here on this planet or in life, I know this is not a philosophy class, but, extend beyond what you know is possible. Extend beyond these next 2 years or 5 or 10 or 20. What is it that you really want to accomplish? Why do you exist? Why does anyone care?
And you really want to think about your brand as a living, breathing organism. It's going to evolve over time. You don't have to have your brand in this place where it's perfect before you get into private practice and you launch, but you really do want to spend at least about 6 months preparing your brand, your vision, your mission, your culture, being clear on all of these different aspects of your private practice. You have that really solid foundation because it really does set you up for long-term success. It does take a little bit more time on the front end, but having that in place is a huge resource and ninja tip for you guys. So #ninja tip, make sure to note that one.
I was on Facebook last night actually, and I was actually in Melvin's Facebook page or group on Selling the Couch. And someone had posted about branding and how he kind of resists branding and it feels rigid and he doesn't want to pigeonhole himself into one thing. And I just responded and I said, you know what? Your brand, you can brand your style. You don't have to have a specific population of client, but maybe you have a specific style. And that also can be your brand because there'll be certain populations or people or types of people that will be attracted to you and your style. So, feel free and be able to explore what branding might feel like for you. So another thing that Kate and I talk about is vision, mission, and culture, which is part of branding, is you get really clear on your vision. So if you want an example of that, you can always go to our website at theprivatepracticestartup.com and go to the About Us section. You'll see the vision, mission, and the culture.
And we also have an online course that we focused on the 4 secrets for building your dream private practice. And that you can find in our online course section on the website. So make sure you check that out if you're wanting to delve in deeper and really get clear on your vision, your mission, your culture, your strengths, your purpose, your passion, and all of those facets that really inform your brand.
And so your vision really is that 100-year goal. It is that the legacy that you want to leave behind. And your mission is how you fulfill that, the people you serve, what you do. So it might be group counseling, or it might be individual work or couples work or workshop seminars. That's part of your mission. And Kate and I talk a lot about culture. So a lot of companies don't define culture, but if you think about Google, or maybe Disney. Those are companies that have strong cultures. One of my favorite, Amazon. Those companies have great culture. And if you don't really get clear on your culture, people will do it for you, either your employees or your staff or even your clients. And before Kate and I ever actually bring anyone on to either volunteer with us or work with us, is we actually read and review the culture. We want to make sure that they're a fit for what we're up to because we need them to be on the same page and part of the team so we're all moving forward in the same way. So, just really quick before we move on to goal planning, Alexandra Figueiredo, her podcast is number 19 on mission-based branding.
Yes.
That's another awesome branding podcast to check out. So let's move on to goal planning. So as we talk about branding and goal planning, it's kind of simultaneous because it really helps the both. So when we talk about goal planning, which by the way, we do have a download if you guys want to get a free resource. So go to the resources tab on the privatepracticestartup.com and download the goal planning worksheet. And this is going to ask you a lot of questions to help pique your mind about really what is it that you're doing? What are you up to? What do you want to do in in your private practice? Back in 2010, I started using SMART goals. And I would do them at the beginning of the year. And since then, I've been utilizing goals since every year since then. And really, my goals are very specific. It actually takes me probably a month to 6 weeks to solidify my goals for the year. And goals really shouldn't be something that you do and put away. They actually should be with you out. You should review them at least once a week, if not more, because it really keeps you focused on what you're doing. And the really cool thing is when you look at your goals and you achieve things that you either didn't think was possible or you forgot about, it's really awesome.
So in addition to setting the annual goals, like we talked about in our goal setting podcast, which is number 27, if you guys want some more inspiration about that, it's important to also break it down on a smaller level and really plan your 90-day goals. You want to be very intentional about where you're focusing in private practice, where you're strategizing. You want to have your marketing strategy for both community marketing, your online marketing strategy. And it's very helpful just to kind of organize all of that so you know that you're keeping yourself on track, because in private practice, we know there's a million different directions of things that we could be paying attention to, and we can get really sidetracked. It happens to us all the time because there's so many different things.
And we call those things squirrels.
Yes, squirrel moments. So we actually were chasing squirrels a little bit earlier ago, which means we're checking our emails, we're responding, we're doing. And then we're like, okay, we're chasing squirrels. It's our code word. So we know it's time to get back on track. And it's so important just to have your goals organized and really be checking in, and then also celebrating the wins. That's something that's really important too, is once you accomplish a goal, because if you're a solopreneur and you're the only one in private practice, you may be the only person, that you're celebrating those goals with. So do something that's meaningful, do something that's fun, celebrate your wins, acknowledge that, and then move on to the next one, right?
And truth be told, I have sucked at celebrating wins. See, I didn't say I suck. I said I have sucked. That is like something that I've been learning and practicing for that's really recent. And it's so important. I actually have a wealth building coach right now, and he had said, well, how are you going to celebrate that? And I was like a deer caught in headlights, like, so really attaching celebration to your goals and the action steps is so essential, because what it does is it drives the energy and the excitement, and it makes you want to do more. One thing, Kate, and I know we're going to talk about marketing on part 2, but one thing that is super essential and part of that goal planning is there should be a planning phase of planning your private practice. And I cannot say enough, guys, even if you take $25 a week and you put it away into a savings account or somewhere that you can utilize to build your practice, it's not about the amount, it's about the habit. Because too many people get into private practice, guilty, without any type of savings, because I thought, oh my gosh, it's so easy to open a private practice because you know what? I basically use my mouth and I can have a pen and paperwork and that'll be work. I just need an office. And that is just so not the case, guys. Obviously, like I said, Kate and I have stumbled our way through many things, but saving money to actually invest in marketing is essential. If you're not investing in marketing, guess what, guys? You're probably not going to have clients. And maybe you have community-based marketing. Maybe you do have referral sources, but you have to invest your time. You have to meet with them. You have to build relationships. So please save some money before you launch yourself into your private practice.
And we're going to get much more into marketing and money mindset in our next podcast, part 2 for this. Katie, before we transition to talk about lifestyle business, I just want to ask, what is your favorite way to celebrate when you have a win?
Oh, are you putting me on the spot? Because we had this conversation before. So I might be a little odd or weird, but Kate loves to celebrate. She's a foodie and a wino. And I'm a little weird. Like, I'm not one I don't enjoy spending my money on like like food. Like that's just not my thing. I don't mind if someone takes me out, but that's just not my thing. I like to do like events or new experiences, whether there's like this sushi making class, like that would be cool to me. Or going to, I don't know, an art festival or maybe getting a massage. I actually went to the foot spa yesterday, which is one of my favorite places to go. I love my feet rubbed. I don't know if that's TMI for you guys, but
are we getting a little sensual? I don't know.
So those are some of the ways I like to celebrate. And I've also been attaching achieving my goals to the celebration. Like my big deal celebration is to be able to fly on a private jet. Like that's like, I have a certain set of amount of income that I want to make, and then I'm going on a private jet vacation. Period. The end. Wow. That's my big deal.
Yeah. I love celebrating wins by obviously good food and good wine or
and good
champagne, good friends, having an experience like that. Traveling. I'm a planner, so I like to plan things in advance. So if I've been working really hard, I'd like to reward myself by going on a special vacation or something like that, or even sometimes retail therapy. Going and purchasing clothes can always kind of fill my soul. And maybe even it's not about spending money, but giving myself permission to take the day off and have a beach day, you know?
For sure. Essential.
Those types of experiences. We live in sunny South Florida, and so it makes it very easy. I actually live less than a half a mile away from the beach, believe it or not. And every time I go, which is very rare, I say, I need to be here every weekend. And then it just doesn't happen. I need to make it more of a priority. I'm going to make you guys hold me accountable for that.
But your backyard is amazing. Kate has a tiki hut in her backyard, and it's over this kind of like lake view. So, I mean, I could just sit there and, be fine.
That's part of the problem too, is when you have a pool in your backyard and the tiki hut, it's so much easier just to stay there. But yeah, the beach is cool too. So let's transition on to number 3, lifestyle business. If you guys have heard our podcast with Joe Sanok, episode 28, you know what we're talking about here. And setting up a lifestyle business is really important, because if you don't think about this when you're setting up your business and when you're preparing to launch your private practice, and even when you're successfully in private practice, your business can start running you. It can start running your life and take up 24/7 if you allow it to. So really thinking about what is the ideal schedule that you want to have outside of your business, and how can you build your business around that?
And again, totally guilty on both ends. Right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Katie and I, like she said earlier, have done a million things backwards. And that's why we're so passionate about making sure you guys don't have to make all the millions of mistakes that we made. And that's part of our learning lessons is, failing fast and failing forward. And we quickly learn from that stuff.
And one thing I've done this year is really focusing on the lifestyle business, but learning better ways to really gain new knowledge in other things. And so I actually sat down with my own schedule at the beginning of this year, and I actually mapped out what my schedule currently looks like. And then I decided to map out what I want my schedule to look like. So I don't know, but I'm like totally late, like 20 plus years getting the memo that most people don't work on the weekends. So I finally got that memo. And so I have resigned from working on the weekends as of today.
Oh,
no more.
Really? High five.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I had moved my Saturday supervision group to Thursday night.
Finally.
So I know. So that's part of my, creating a lifestyle business. But also what I realize is I'm starting to take every other Thursday off and really focus on something else. I really want to learn a lot more about real estate. So I'm taking that time to utilize that day to focus completely on real estate. So if you guys read the book, The One Thing, that's the Keller Williams story. So really successful people focus on one thing. And also the acronym I heard recently, the acronym focus is follow on course until success. So one thing when we really want to do well is we have to clear our space, clear our minds, really take blocks of time to work on certain things. So why is this important? Whether you're working on self-care or working on your business is creating 4 hours at a time, creating a full day. Maybe you take the weekend and you go away and you work on those things. That's really essential for success.
It absolutely is. And this may transition for you over time. For me, a few years ago, my schedule could be a lot more flexible. And then I had a son 2 years ago. He actually just turned 2 yesterday. So I can't believe he's already 2. Time is flying.
Happy birthday, Land, man.
Yes,
that's cool. He might hear this podcast one day and we give him a shout out.
I know. Little Landon. Yep. Not so little anymore. Anyways, once I had a child, it really transformed for me because I wanted to spend more time at home, wanted to reorganize my schedule. So it's optimized around the times that he's, at home and not taking naps or sleeping or whatever, or at school. So I actually take Wednesdays off, and I don't see clients on Wednesdays, which is really cool to have that day off in the middle of the week. And also don't see clients on the weekend ever. That's always been a very hard and fast boundary for me. So it's really getting clear on what do you want your life to look like? How can you fashion your private practice around that? And really looking at your calendar and blocking things off, like when you want to be home, when the kids are getting home, or taking holidays off, or maybe you only want to work Monday through Wednesday. I have a therapist at the office here who works at my group practice, and she works Tuesday and Wednesday, long days, and that's it. Those are the only 2 days that she's in the office, and she has a full caseload. So she sees about 10 clients on each day. She's like a superstar. I don't know how she can maintain that energy. That's a little extreme, but for her, it works. And the rest of the week, she has off to work on other things, which is great.
But that's interesting because that goes to exactly what I was saying, is doing one thing for a long period of time. So before we finish this third part of part 1, lifestyle business, is you guys have to get comfortable with the word outsource and delegate.
Yes.
This is essential
Vital.
to really building a thriving business. Outsourcing the things you don't want to do. And right now it might be for you. Maybe it's accounting. Maybe you suck at numbers. You don't really like them.
Website building.
Find a good accountant. Yeah. Website building for sure. SEO. Maybe it's online marketing. So again, remember I said is taking that money, putting it away. You're going to utilize that money for these things. And also when you goal plan is you're going to look at your long-term vision and goal. And maybe that is to have a group practice, or maybe that is to have an online business or do seminars and things like that. And so what you'll want to do is who's going to help you fulfill that, and start thinking of them now. What roles are they going to serve? What are they going to do? You want to create systems and scripts and how to. You're going to create basically a working manual.
You know, Katie and I have spent years learning about the importance of outsourcing and delegating, and we have a ton of awesome resources and people that we use for delegating all sorts of tasks to. So whether it's website building or SEO or any of these other really time-consuming things, creating your videos, other tasks that need to happen for online or whatever it might be. We've got a ton of resources. Under our resources tab, you'll see there the top private practice resources, and you can check out tons of different resources for delegating and being able to really let other people who shine in other areas that are not your strengths, let them shine, let them do what they do best. And then that allows you to focus more on the things that you are really passionate about and your strengths when you're in private practice.
So this ends part 1. And so if you'll join us for part 2, we're going to be talking about money, mindset, and marketing. So Startup Nation, we had a blast on today's podcast. Make sure you check out our show notes. We have mentioned a ton of resources. So those will all be on the show notes. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Why do we say that? Because the more that you share, the more that you tell people how much you enjoy this, the more that people will know, and they'll check us out, and they'll get major hashtag ninja tips and value bombs as you have. So have an awesome day, and we look forward to inspiring you from startup to mastery.
See you next time, Startup Nation.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.